Ben, I've been wanting to meet with you for, I don't know, the last 2 months. And a lot of that revolves around like my ideas for getting into content creation. But I specifically wanted to talk to you about kind of like why you got into creating content as well as how that story unfolded.
Okay.
And then I'm happy to share my ideas and where I want to go.
Absolutely.
But I'm truly having the perspective of, I just want to hear your story and like some of your advice as I intertwine some of my ideas.
When you're thinking about your stuff, are you thinking about it strictly from the business standpoint? Are you thinking about it from the personal standpoint, i.e. wanting to build personal brand sort of thing? Like where are you when you're thinking about content?
I'm leaning more towards personal brand and then maybe focusing on more like sales.
Okay.
The documentation of my sales career, things I learn in sales, maybe cliche like motivational things in the sales world. Similar to how you kind of do like a vlog. And then you also have like, here are my thoughts on this topic. And it all relates to like what you do because you're the expert in your field. So then as people are watching you, they're like, well, what's Ben's opinion on this topic? Whether that could be business or negotiating on price, or if it's like marriage, or if it's on how to take care of your dog, like,
Right.
all that kind of stuff.
Hopefully they're watching all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Going deep into social media for business started when I started the business. So especially like the photography side, and then Instagram became a thing. I naturally, and all the photographers went and pushed there. And
Right.
it got like really oversaturated in the photographer market. With Instagram originally being, let's everybody share our food photos and it's what we're doing, it became a curated thing pretty quickly. So I was a part of all of that. The short form video side of it, I started playing with it before I moved to this studio, and I moved to this studio 5 years ago. So in 21, yeah, that's 5.
Okay.
That counts
Yeah.
as 5 years. So I did a few short form videos from my old studio, but I never really did anything heavy. When I moved here, I was talking with a friend of mine, and she's like, you got to be doing short form. And I was like, get fucked. I don't want to.
Yeah.
And then, I started working with it. And at that point, I thought it was going to be only business, just business, because that was the only thing that I was focused on at the time, was growing the business, not worrying about and not thinking about it becoming a tool for being a personal brand. And Ben Marcum Photography doesn't exist without Ben Marcum. If Ben Marcum isn't being seen as a part of Ben Marcum Photography, it's flat, in my opinion.
Okay.
So it's really just been over the past year and a half that I've gotten more and more comfortable with letting more of my personal stuff get into it. And when I say personal stuff, I'm not like, hey, me and my wife are pissed off at each other today. Here, let me bitch about that, and we're not pissed off at each other today, but you could. But being able to go, great, here's some real life stuff. Here's the fitness journey. Here's working with SETI. Here's, letting more real life in. And I think also people are craving authenticity at this point in like the real thing, partly because social media has gotten so curated, and so much of the, let me show you my perfect life at all times, and a lot about which people aren't showing you. People are only showing you the best parts of their stuff. They're not showing, when they stub their toe, whatever. So I think people are craving that. And then with AI doing what it's doing, and so much AI slop being out there, people want to connect with real humans on a personal level. But then from a business standpoint,
Right.
It's also I've had a lot of people book and go, I booked with you because I watched your stuff and I feel like I already know you. So, people buy from who they know, like, and trust.
Absolutely.
Blah, blah.
So you said when you started on this, it was strictly like the business.
Yeah.
Can you define that? Is it just like completion photos of the work you've done? Is it just short testimonials, posting reviews?
It was more trying to be valuable to potential customers and or being valuable to other photographers, trying to cover both sides of it. So, from a potential client standpoint, yes, I was going to show process. Here's what it looks like when you do a portrait and boudoir session, and here's a real headshot session. This is somebody laughing and having a good time. It's not JCPenney photo. We're really doing the shit. So seeing that side of it, but then also being able to go, let people know things like, I realize you don't like your photos, and I realize the reason you don't like your photos is because somebody stood you in front of a camera and said smile, and then that hung on grandma's wall for, 50 years, or you've never seen a good photo of yourself. So let me help give you some tips. You want to take better selfies? Great. Here's some tips to take a better selfie. At Christmas time when you're doing the family photo, don't stand next to a table lamp. You're going to look Scooby-Doo.
Right.
So,
Good advice. Yeah.
just like those practical things that as a photographer, it's stuff that I think about that people don't. And then they go out into the real world. And I saw it I was at a gala for the Humane Society a couple of years ago. And somebody was talking like, I can't get a good photo in here. And it was all just harsh downlights. Everybody's sockets were deep and it just looked terrible. I'm like, well, no wonder the light's awful. So it was those sorts of things, and going, I'm going to be the expert in the field, so that when people do go, oh, I want to go get a portrait session, a boudoir session, a headshot, I'm now top of mind. So it was that, there's no other photographer that I know in the area who is as active on social as I am. And that gives me a leg up because people know me. And it gives me a leg up in AI now too, because AI is looking at all that stuff. So when somebody goes to ChatGPT and says, where do I go for a headshot? Chat is recommending me.
Yeah.
I know because people have told me. So
I have a friend that just expressed that last week.
Yeah.
Working for a payroll company. She was like, had somebody reach out. I got the business. I emailed them. Hey, how'd you hear about us? And she was like, oh, it just came up as a source in my chat GPT.
Yeah.
And I was like, you almost need to ask her to be like, can you go like back to that chat and figure out what it pulled? Like, is that you posting videos to LinkedIn? Because she does. Is that Facebook post?
Yeah.
Like where did it grab that?
Is it Lily?
Yeah.
Of course it's Lily.
Yeah. She's everywhere. She does great. But yeah, I see that. And that's another reason, Ben, I want to do the kind of the personal branding side along with sales, because I think at this point I've decided I'll be in sales forever. Loving Signorama Dixie, loving what I'm doing there. Already winning jobs based off posting on Facebook. So now I'm trying to like catch up Instagram and figuring out what I would do on YouTube. I think the YouTube would be drastically different than like my endeavors currently on Facebook. Because currently on Facebook, every friend that I have, like I started the account when I started selling signs here at Signorama. So to me, it's the same as
We're
going
about to get a visitor.
So Facebook started, like I started the account all after I'd already worked at Signorama for maybe 2 years. And I'm going on 4 years now there. Like I'm at a little over 3.5 years currently. So like all my Facebook friends are people I've met networking or clients, people like you and Lily and all the others. So when I post on there, it's kind of like standing up at the BNI meeting or at the chamber meeting and doing your little commercial, because it's like all the people I've met in that setting previously.
Right.
So I feel like that content is very different than like what I want to do on YouTube. And then on YouTube, I'm wanting to lean into the personal branding side of it, because I think you can do long format, or I could do shorts that are very different than like what I would post on Facebook. Well, say that again. What do you mean?
Are they? Okay. So there's a couple different schools of thoughts with shorts and short form video. There's the school of thought that you need to be making different short form content for every platform based off of what the platform is. And that is a lovely thought. I don't think it's accurate, especially or practical for small business owners who are doing things. So it's like for me, when I make short form content, that same content goes to all platforms. So it hits Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts. It goes to all of it. Because while yes, I'm now technically a content creator, I'm a photographer, small business owner, husband, dog dad, chicken dad, right? But amateur martial artist now. Well, novice martial artist now. I don't have time to make different content for every platform. And by doing that, I've grown my audience on each one of those platforms. So like, every one of them has seen growth. So I would say if you're making the shorts anyway, go ahead and post them to all the things.
Okay. Because I've made reels for like Facebook and Instagram, and I put that on like Daniel Record, Facebook and Instagram. But with the differentiating factor or the thought of, Facebook seems to be just for Signorama, I've had the idea of like, well, what else do I want to start that's still me, still my personal brand, but I could like really lean into the personal brand, regardless of what I'm doing, regardless of what my thoughts are at the time. So I went ahead and started some other accounts, and I've got handles for Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. I've got a brand new like Gmail account, and I own this handle as like the .com domain as well.
Nice.
And it's Daniel on Record.
Nice.
I think it's a cool
That's a good one.
caveat on my name. And I've not just exactly decided what I'd want to post on there yet. Got a lot of ideas. And to be honest with you, probably need to just start clicking the publish button and doing it. I'll share with you that December of last year, I just started recording myself, not doing anything specific. I wanted to document what was going on in my life in something that was greater than just photos.
Sure.
And not a written journal. So video formats. Some of these, Ben, are 15 to 30 minutes long. Some of them are 45 seconds, just thoughts and ideas. Some of them are on like the goals I have for current job and aspirations. Some of that is like further on down the line. Like I've just started documenting it because I wanted to have the proof like from now until whenever.
Right.
Because I think it'd be awesome if somebody like my dad or my granddad at the end of their life had a history to show in their voice, in their season at the time that was not just in photos or in a written journal.
Right.
You know, and you're probably more likely to consume it, edit it down because it's like a video, like you're watching dad or granddad on the TV. And I think that'd be really cool. Yeah, that was one of my aspirations as well. And the whole play on words of Daniel on record was like me going on the record of whatever I'm doing at the time.
Yeah.
So with that, I've got to figure out, I guess, kind of the narrative I want to push that into. But I keep going back to like, I want to document the sales journey and like, how cool would it have been to have the horrible videos that I filmed of myself, like day one at Sinorama. And hey, I just went to this networking group and, you know, this is what I learned here. This was the best return on investment, or this sucked. Don't ever go to this group. What, you know,
Right.
that would be cool to have because I don't have that. I have photos and I go through photos and I'm like, oh, I remember that. I was doing that. But in like 10 years, I'll be like, oh yeah, I guess I was doing that.
Right.
Like I've heard Mike Rowe talk about his time on selling products on QVC, and he'll watch entire episodes and have no remembrance of that product, of doing that ever, but he still got it on video.
Yeah.
So he's still watching his younger self, can still share that on all his platforms and social medias. So I kind of think that aspect is cool.
Absolutely it is.
So is that similar to like some of your aspirations in the sense of like why you're documenting? Like what is your why for the content?
My why, it's a couple different things, you know, other than the business stuff. So like I started really trying to figure out the vlog side of it recently, for example. I'm a late 40s guy who started and runs a business on a fitness journey, who does does all these things, right? And I know that there are other people out there who are in that same area who go either A, I wish I was doing, or I am doing, and it's lonely as fuck out there. And so to be able to put out, I was like, no, you're not alone. There's a bunch of us doing this. It's, you know, let's do
So
this
to
stuff
resonate
together.
with the people that are on a
Yeah.
similar path.
So, and not to sound all owl huggy, I want to be inspirational to some folks. I want to be aspirational to some folks. I want to feel like a friend to people, you know, so people are like, hey, I know a lot of times when I'm sitting around editing, just doing mundane work or whatever, you know, I will have things up on the screen just so I have noise and I have something else. I'm not just sitting in a quiet room.
Right.
So if I can be that for somebody in a way that might be educational, might be inspirational, might be whatever, that's cool. I'm not going to be one of those creators that's going to come out and say, I'm just doing it all for... No, there's a monetization side of it as well. Yeah, I absolutely want to get things monetized. I want brand deals. I want to make money. It's, you know, alternate sources of income and then passive forms of income are great. So that's a part of the goal. Part of it is documentation. You know, I don't have kids to pass things on to, so that's never going to be a thing. But there is a part of me that hopes that long after I'm gone, things that I've created survive. And if people going back and looking at my work go, what was going on while this was being created, I think it adds another depth to the work. And I really got inspired to do that. My wife and I went to Cincinnati Museum of Art, you know, once we came out of COVID, we were still in masks and whatever. And they were doing a Frank Duvnik exhibit. He was a Cincinnati artist, lived in Paris, but whatever. And then he was a big part of that museum for years as a curator and teaching and things. and having like some of his journals and his thoughts and things that go along with the art gave me a different appreciation for the work than just, oh, it's a really beautiful portrait. Like, oh, okay, so here's the why, and we know what the why was for that. So there's some of that, and not to be grim about it, but if I was to get hit by a garbage truck when I pull out of here today, hope I don't. But if it was useful, helpful in healing processes for my family, that's great. Which is another reason that I've got to break away from just photography as well, because photography is only going to be of interest to photographers. So if I want to get to other stuff, I gotta do other things. And it's, I think that the almost 49-year-old old school punk rock guy running a business, losing weight, taking karate, cooks, makes martinis is far more interesting than just photographer.
What's made me start watching longer.
Yeah.
To be transparent with you.
Sure.
I've always watched your stuff, but like I'll find myself watching to the end of videos,
That's very good to know.
Yeah.
I will eventually get footage from the dojo when I throwing my ass around.
Yeah. That's good footage too.
It's all of that stuff. It's we're in a really unique time with having this ability to document and share things in a way that our grandparents and great grandparents couldn't. Like some of them journal. Like my great grandmother journaled, and I'm so grateful that we have her journals. And a lot of days it's just like, weather was nice today. Like we have her journal from the day that Challenger exploded, and so like her thoughts on that. And I think that's cool. So that giving people an inside peek, and if they're interested, some people may be like, what's a big old guy who cares? And I'm not their cup of tea. Other people will go, okay, cool, I'm not alone. And I can also do, but he's dropped X amount of weight and put on muscle at that age. Cool, I can do that.
Right.
Bop up,
So you become relatable through that process.
Yeah.
All just shared.
And even if they never watch my stuff again, if them watching, me go deadlift 300 plus pounds and say I've lost, I'm now lifting more than I whatever, and they get inspired to go get themselves healthy, rad.
A question I want to ask you, you've had a lot of time to think about what people are feeling and like putting yourself in their shoes through all your photography experience. So you've been able to put yourself in the shoes of the person getting photographed for many, many years.
Yes.
Why is it that we walk around public every day, maybe not as self-conscious about how we look or what we're doing? A lot of us not worried about what we're doing in public. But then as soon as something gets recorded or documented, there's that internal freak out. Because I know I'm not alone in that. But I also know that, like, as I sit here now, I'm like, well, make sure you're sitting, make sure, and my back hurts, so I'm constantly moving and,
Yeah.
But in public, like, I'm not ever sitting in a booth or sitting at a bar stool at a networking event and being like, hey.
When you're walking around at Kroger, are you paying attention to what other people are doing on a like, are you dialed in level? I mean, sure, you see people around, but like, are you focused on what other people are doing?
Not unless I see somebody really interested. And by that, I'm like, well,
Right. So everybody's in the same space, but nobody's the center of attention.
Right.
Right. So in being on camera, whether that's video stuff or for portraits or headshots or whatever, now you're the center of attention. And so people become performative.
Yeah.
And people worry about how other people are going to see them and how they're going to be judged and all of that. So that's really what it's fear of judgment. And now we're performing for the camera because we've been trained to perform for it. So like I would be willing to bet you $1 million that when you were growing up, a grandparent, somebody pointed a camera at you and went, okay, smile. Okay, do a big smile.
Oh yeah.
Right. And so you made the big cheesy, stupid grin, and you probably hated those photos. Right. So that's the fear that people have with them now is like, oh, I'm going to cheese and then I'm going to look like dog shit. So, and then with social media, people go, oh, well, people are going to see it and they're going to judge me and they're going to say things and they're going to, some are going to see it. Some might judge. It's just the fact of life. A majority of people aren't. They're either going to connect with you or they're going to scroll pretty quickly. Most of the time, the people judging are the ones who don't do anything themselves. So and I can go on and on and on, but it's performative.
Well, do you think that changes? Because like you look at old timey photos and maybe it took too long to take the photograph, but like nobody's smiling, nobody's doing anything. We're just like 12 kids.
Yeah.
And mom and dad look like they're about to strangle every one of them. They're just sitting there, just got off the train or, these old historical photos. And then you go to, what happened in your lifetime and mine, where it's like, hey, smile, I'll do a better one. So there becomes different beliefs around it. And then like now, everyone has Ring cameras. Everyone has cameras on trucks. There's cameras monitoring, flock cameras. Do you think that changes? Like with everything being recorded, do people eventually stop posting picture perfect moments, which I don't know if I agree with, but does it become like, do my kids and their kids get a lot more relaxed about that? Because like, since they were born, they probably have more memories of their parents' face with an iPhone in front of it rather than, because we document everything.
I think it comes down to a matter of if they feel like they are making content for them, or if they're making content for people to be like, if people are trying to be influencers and they're being performative, then they're always going to be awkward.
Yeah.
It's not until you do this a lot. And if you go back and watch my first videos, I was more performative, not intentionally, but it's like I wasn't comfortable in front of the camera yet. And you could argue that I'm still performative in front of the camera. I'm just more relaxed in front of it. But the more you do it, the more it starts to feel natural is the wrong word, but normal. So yes, no, I guess is the answer to the question. If it's ever, hey, do this because blah, then it's always people are always gonna be a little bit weird. It's my job as photographer, and I think we talked about this when I did your headshot, is to make you forget about the camera.
Yeah.
And it's, and I can only do it for that much at a time, but it's when I make you forget about the camera, I get the real shot. If you're thinking about the camera, then you're performing.
And I agree. You did that very well. And like, I still
you.
take your tips when I'm the only person taking a family photo of my family that's like
jamming the face up.
Yeah. And being like, make sure it's a real smile. Make sure you smile in the eye. Because I can see photos of myself and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I look soulless. Like clearly I'm taking a photo somewhere. I'm like,
Right. You starting to get into the personal branding side of it, and you're starting to be you. At first, you're gonna perform for the camera. It's natural because you're gonna be like, there's a camera on me. I have to blah. But then just keep it, and you'll start to find your voice and your rhythm and your thing. When people meet me in public, I've had people stop me at Kroger, at conventions, and we talk for a minute, and they go, "It's the same guy." You're like, "Yeah, it's same dude."
Well, that's what you want.
Yeah.
Like that's who you're trying to be.
Yeah, exactly. And then with starting to add the more personal stuff into it, it's like we're multifaceted creatures. So starting to let people see the other sides of it is, as well. It's like, no. It's like, so yes, me walking at the camera and, spouting whatever I'm spouting is me. There are other aspects too, that if you want to know the real thing, and then all of that actually inspires all of this and whatever, then I want you to see the other side. See, I don't go deep into my battles with depression and anxiety and those sorts of, like, I keep that off there. And some could argue I should put it out because there's other people dealing with depression and anxiety and whatever. At this point, that's still too personal for me. It was like really, there's like 2 people on the planet that get to see it without the mask on in those moments. Maybe 4 people. But not to say that it'll never get there. And I don't shy away from saying, yes, it's issues that I deal with.
Right.
But I don't go deep to that on social.
I think you can show a lot of authenticity with bringing certain things up, even if you're hinting at the bigger problem.
Yeah.
But just showing that, whether it's being truly vulnerable or you're just a passing comment in some of your content, like that's still relatable.
Yeah. And it's, and I want people to know too with, I don't shy away from the fact that I deal with depression and anxiety and, neurodivergence and whatever, but I also do, and I put things out where I go, oh, it's about to end, I'm going to change it. That therapy's not bad. We're going to pick up there. I change cards. Yeah. So why have I not been in a kilt? We're going to start there. Why have I not been in a kilt anymore? This is a good place to pick up than anything else. The kilts don't fit anymore.
Okay.
So all of that. So my tartan kilts, are just too big. So I've sold those because the belt doesn't even do anything anymore. They just become a crumpled mess. My Utila kilts, I can still wear them for like yard work, but they're baggy and they just don't stay on. So, people have been like, when I'm wearing a suit, they go, oh, why are you so dressed up? I'm like, I was always doing it. I was doing it with a kilt. Now I just happen to be wearing pants and I started adding a little bit of color into my life rather than just all black. But no, it's the same thing, but I had to buy clothes. My clothes didn't fit anymore. And everything was too baggy. I've always liked wearing a suit. Over the past couple of months as well, and this is going to sound like real Al Huggy, woodgy. I have felt like a new version of me is starting to emerge. And I feel like it happens to all of us from here and there. It's like over like a couple of weeks, at least for me, it was like, I don't feel like the guy that has been around for the past couple of years. Like I'm still me, like the core of it is still there, but I could feel it's like, kicked out of the, cocoon and wings are starting to be like, we're moving into the next phase of things. So that's part of the fashion change because I love the kilt. The kilts will always be around. They're just expensive. So I haven't bought new ones yet, but switching the wardrobe up is like, I feel like the new me is this. So I know that sounds very Al Huggy, but just, it feels different.
Spin 4.0
or whichever version at this point. Cause and I think about like, I've gone through phases my whole life, for a long time I would been the sound guy and I guess how people referred to me or whatever. And then it's been the photographer and, now it's people, been that guy that won't get the fuck off my TikTok screen, So yeah, anyway, so that's why you don't see as many kilts. So,
okay, cool. It's a good answer. I had to be a big adjustment though, if wearing pants, if you're not wearing pants other times,
So what I still catch myself doing it is when I sit down, I still do the sweep to make sure it's like, oh, I'm not in the kilt anymore. I don't have to do the sweep. And I don't get as many people, and by as many, I mean none. Nobody is asking if I'm wearing underwear. Happens all the time in the kilt.
I remember as a kid, I was at like one of those sports reenactment places.
Yeah.
And there was kids running around in kilts. And I said to a buddy of mine, like, you think he wears any underwear in that? And apparently his mom was standing right there. And she was like, there's no other way to wear them. And we were both like,
but people, is the Scottish people have always worn an undergarment under their kilts. Always. Yeah. You're not going to ride a horse without underwear.
Yeah.
Or if you do, God bless you. No, I actually have a great video. I was recording some B-roll. I was dropping my car off to get worked on, and I'm at the counter just checking things out, and a dude in the background.
You better have underwear on. You wanting to check? No.
Come check that out. That's awesome. Well, cool. Okay. Some of my other questions are like, what kind of software do you use to edit videos down?
So for short form video, like I'm pretty lazy about short form. I would love to be higher produced with it. I just not because I don't have time for that shit. So I record everything straight to iPhone. Sure. I have, just a tripod that I set it up on, a couple lights that y'all can't see, but it's the lights we're using now. If I'm recording in the studio. And then I do the edits in CapCut. I pay for the pro version of CapCut.
Okay.
Because when it does the captions, it'll cut out clips for me, and most of the time it's fairly accurate. If I'm doing longer form stuff, I use DaVinci Resolve.
Okay.
Because free is a great price. I may eventually switch over to the Apple product Final Cut because I like the Apple ecosystem, but I'm now getting so entrenched in DaVinci that is like now swapping might be stupid, but yeah, and for now I keep everything really simple. And there's creators out there, like I love their production quality, like Damian Broderick, who does all like men's fashion stuff or whatever. He has a whole aesthetic with his stuff. There's Hunter Voigt, whatever, another fashion guy. Like they go full production value with their videos, and they're gorgeous. If I did nothing but content creation for a living, I might do that.
Right.
But, you know, I've got other things I want to do.
Yeah, of course. And that's not everything either. I mean, the journey as well. You know, I think sometimes just being consistent, making something that has value, probably has a good return compared to this has got to be perfect and look the best.
Yeah, I worry more about the sound than I do the video, because people will watch a video with not the best video quality. If your audio is crap, people aren't hanging around.
What would be a good takeaway for a aspiring content creator to have?
Just start making shit. Like just start. Like, so people will look at my account and go, it's a photography account, and they're not wrong. But all of the other things that I do play into the photography side of things. So every bit of life influences how I deal with the business. It interacts with how I interact with people, which interacts with the expressions that I get from people. Like all of it goes together, right? So I think this, you know, the same with you know, starting the personal brand things, you go, okay, first, you know, what is your personal, or what do you do? What makes you, what makes you you? And, you know, starting and just record it and go. And some of it may not land. Some of it may just be completely random, but as you go, you'll start to figure out not even what works for them, what works for you. And when you watch it and you go, that's the story that I'm telling. You know, I subscribe to the Rick Rubin school of thought of, I'm not at the end of the day creating for them. I'm creating for me, and I'm going to share it. And if people vibe with it, cool. And if they don't vibe with it, cool. They're also going to take a different interpretation from it than what I mean.
Right.
Like back when I was a sound designer, a conversation that we had a fair amount, especially when it came to using commercial music and sound design's like, okay, so I could put a song into a show that I go, this is why I'm telling this story with this song. But if somebody else happened to be listening to that song when they wrecked their car when they were 18 and somebody got injured, let's go real dramatic with it.
Right.
They're going to have a very different association with that piece of music. So same thing with whether I'm creating portrait work, whether it's social media stuff, whether it's long form stuff, whatever, people are going to take away things with their feelings. Their feelings are going to color the end product. So at the end of the day, you can't create for them. You have to create for you. They will interpret it how they're going to interpret it. Your job is just to figure out what story, you know, you're trying. Part of the reason I started the vlog side of it is I had gotten very boxed in to my own shit and was going, my life is pretty dull. You know, I'm a late 40s guy. I get up, I drink coffee, I go to the gym, I go to work, I leave work, I come home, cook dinner, watch Monday Night Raw, go to bed, rinse, repeat, right? So I started doing the vlog side of it to be like, no, life actually isn't that boring. My life is actually pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
You know, like I run a business. I lift in a dirty, skanky old gym and I'm getting in the best shape of my life. I create cool art for a living. My wife is cool. My dog is cool. Again, you know, starting to take karate at, 48 years old,
Yeah.
So it's the vlog side of it really comes down to, by doing this project, I want to start looking at life more cinematically and going, okay, step back, step out of it from here's my box that I do every day and here's what's actually going on. So I think that's the thing. It's like, as you go, you will find your story and step out of your own way and look around and go, oh, this shit's pretty cool.
Well, for the person that doesn't know how to find the moments in their daily life that may be interesting to others, where they can find and generate content from, what's a good way to like start seeing it?
Film everything.
Okay. And then
Yeah.
go back and sort through it and look at it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Even if that is, you're just sitting at your desk typing, right? So, okay, so now you're sitting at your desk typing. Now let's look at it from like 3 different angles. So let's get the pullback shot that actually shows you at your computer. So now we have an establishing shot. And then bring your crop in where it's just your hands doing blah, blah, blah. And then do a shot of a close-up on your face. And if you happen to wear glasses, or if you can catch it in your eye, the reflection of the screen in that. So it's just typing.
Yeah, but you've got.
But now you're setting it more cinematically. And then find a piece of music that resonates with you on how you felt in that music and set it to that piece of music. And you're then going to look at that whole thing completely differently, because now it's like, oh, that was a moment, whatever I was typing, maybe I was sending in an email, accepting a job. Maybe I was, whatever, for me, a headshot session at this point, I've done a million of them. And so I see the moments and whatever. There was one years ago, and I wish I'd been filming this. A woman had to take a phone call while we were doing her shots, and she was just listening on a conference call. I photographed the exact moment she got fired. And it's like, so if I'd been videoing that, it's like that moment. It's like, I have the photo, and I will never share it with anybody because that's way too personal. I have the photo. The second it happened, and her face fell.
Wow.
So gorgeous photo. Like Richard Avedon would be so proud. If you don't know the Richard Avedon story telling about a dog getting run over to get an expression, it's a good one. But yeah, it's like in your mundane moments, things will happen too. So to me, shooting a headshot mundane, things happen during it that become the moments. So me cracking somebody up in there,
yeah,
whatever. So same thing in your day-to-day life. Let's say you're at the sign shop, and you guys have a shop there where there's guys working and building stuff, right?
Yeah, across 2 buildings, yeah.
Yeah. And so you're recording somebody do a thing and they pinch their finger, or, somebody says something stupid and there's the look up, like any of those little things become moments.
A lot of audio that I have to remove out of the very few reels that I've already posted.
And maybe sometimes put something over the mouth in case people can lip read.
It's usually me trying to take a photo of something of mine and me receiving so much shit on how it's made, whatever.
Yeah.
Just shop talk.
Oh, yeah.
None of it's personal.
You could do a whole clip thing. That would actually be great. Shop talk. And it's like, cut out the bluest of the blue or things that aren't good, but just funny things. Like if you were to do a series of 10-second clips of just things that are just, that the guys and girls in the shop say, that's gold.
Yeah.
Absolute gold. Because people want that, but that's what happens with it.
If I decided to bleep everything that was just considered vulgar, it'd just be.
That's also
bleeping.
funny.
Yeah.
That's hysterical.
See a guy because I've got a video where we're putting graphics on a really big face.
Yeah.
And the guy knows I'm filming, so he's just trash talking the whole time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it is funny in the moment. But yeah, I'd have to package it in a way.
Yeah.
Where it's received as funny and
absolutely
shown, and
it's like, I'm going to start a series that Tales from the Dojo. So there's a lot of kids in my dojo, and I was coming to one day. I'm not going to share the kid's name because my parents didn't give me permission to do that or whatever. But I'd stopped going to Saturday classes, and I get to the dojo about 30 minutes early every time that I go, so I can go to the other room and stretch and work. Because I'm older, I have to stretch before people throw me around. And so I'm cutting through, trying to not disrupt class, and the kid's like, hey, Ben, you got to start coming back to Saturday classes. And I was like, oh, thanks, man. I'll be back. My wife's really just needed me around the house these past couple Saturdays. And this kid, 12-year-old kid, sitting on the mats goes, yeah, I know that feeling. I die. I'm pushing through the curtains. I can't let this kid see me pop.
Yeah.
I was like, that is the best. No, you don't. But it's that sort of stuff, that becomes the moment, So So when I don't know what to record at all, you can cut it later. That was a really long-winded answer to just record everything, cut it down later.
Well, I'm excited that I've been recording since last December because I did that in an effort of knowing that in the future I was going to start doing a lot more content. One of the reasons I went with you for headshots is because even though that was, a few years ago now, I was like,
Has been, hadn't it?
at the time I was like, I'm going to need really high quality professional headshots of myself, for what I have planned. That's more than the email signature I currently have.
Right.
So like, I'm glad I have those and I can put those on accounts and I have more
cookies.
than one. And cookies, yes. I'd forgot that I'd been doing the cookies there for a minute. Yeah, that was unique. That was fun when I was doing that. Making cookies that are my business card.
That was a good one.
Yeah. It has my headshot on it and
Yeah.
everything. Like, it's literally a picture of my business card. Like the digital file, not even a picture of it, like the digital file printed on sugar cookies.
Which I love. Yeah.
Yeah. Funny enough, the CEO of United Franchise Group does a rundown for all the different franchises that company owns, because they own several of them. His son is the CEO of Sinorama. In the May recap of last year, in that video, he shares that story because somehow it got back to him. I don't know if my boss sent him a photo to his son because they're kind of close. But he brought it up that. I didn't get my actual cookie put in the video, but he was reading from a script and he's and apparently Daniel at Sonorama Dixie in Louisville, Kentucky has been putting his business cards on cookies and handing them out to future prospects. It's just a way to sweeten the deal or whatever he said. And my boss sent me that clip and I was just like, what?
So see, it made an impression.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All the way at the top, which is cool too.
Yeah.
That was interesting,
No, I think it was, I'm mad that I still haven't done it yet. I just updated my headshots. I should go do that. So,
Yeah, it's a unique way to do it.
but that's what it's about to stay memorable. I mean, how many business cards do you get at networking functions that maybe you go find them on LinkedIn and then you probably just toss the cards? I'd be willing to bet if we were to go to the landfills here around town, there are a metric ton of Ben Marcum photography cards in the trash.
Yeah.
And I get it because they become clutter. And I love the idea of the dot and the digital thing and whatever. But if somebody's not top of mind, I'm not going to go search my phone for him either. I'm going to be like, oh, who is that one guy? I don't know. I'm going to stop looking. As opposed to with social media, where I'm everywhere,
Right.
all the time, then, if nothing else, and it was a benefit of being in the kilt too, people are like, oh, that big motherfucker in the kilt, and so that goes
Yeah.
through. Hopefully now it's that big motherfucker in the suit, but whatever. And it's finding those ways, and I think the cookie's great.
Yeah. Well,
I
I think you almost especially starting out, you almost have to have your headshot on a business card because first everyone says, oh, I can never remember their name, but I know exactly what they look like. Well, then that's a great reason to have it on your business card. And then you have that same business card in your email signature and you have those headshots across your social media profiles, even if that's just LinkedIn.
Yep.
They're seeing the same version of you or the same two versions of you in your best self consistently. You're not going to forget that person.
Right.
Because
exactly.
I'll look at cards all the time and I will remember that person sometimes more because of the brand they work for than the impression they gave me when they handed me the card.
Right.
I'm like, oh yeah, I did talk to someone from this bank. They're like, I remember this guy.
How many New York Life reps have I met at networking things? I can see the shape of the business card. I see the font. I see the colors. But I've met so many New York Life reps, I couldn't tell you the name of one of them. But, but that's the thing. It's nobody is, they're not thinking about brand stuff at that point. It's
Right.
if I don't remember you, if I don't know, like, and trust you,
Yeah.
I'm not buying from you. Especially when it's personal stuff. So, portraits, money, whatever. What things are you wanting to do with your personal brand? What are you envisioning your social media, at least as of right now, knowing full well you could get into it and it could change?
Some of that is my hesitation. I really want to document, the whole on record is the same. You mentioned a guy saying his theology or his belief of I'm documenting it for myself and presenting it. I didn't even really know that was a thing. That is one of the reasons I'm wanting to do it. So I'm really wanting to document the whole progression of whatever that may be. So I kind of know where I want to go with it, but sometimes I probably make it way too complicated to start today. And to be honest with you, I have hours of footage that compile from last December where some of it's just me talking. And then some of it is like, I'm going to try to film something that would be postable, or I'm going to film something that could be postable, even if I have to remake it in 6 months when I watch this and go, oh yeah, that was a good idea. And now I'm more confident in front of a camera. So I'm going to repurpose that content by like remaking it.
Right.
Even if I never published it in the first place. You know, that was some of my ideas as well. So I'm wanting to go down the journey of the trajectory of my career path and like what I'm selling currently, what I may be selling in the future, and then try to become, I never want to get into the guru aspect. I want to lean into I'm in the process. Because even if I'm 60 years old, if I'm presenting myself as I'm still learning, but I have all this social proof behind it, like I think that's one way that like Alex Hormozy can differentiate himself. Because like in a way, he is a guru, but he's not the guy peddling a new course, this is my sales book, this is all the stuff that you may see if you're pursuing, you know, the type of content or the algorithms aware that you're looking into that.
Right.
You know, how to cold call, how to do that type of stuff. So I always want to lean into the, like, this is my path, this is my journey. I'm documenting along the way.
What parts of that are you wanting to document? Like, if you know at this point, you may not have the vision fully formed in your head.
Well, I've always thought about, and they've even documented it, just haven't posted it, documenting the cold calling process, showing the stuff that like sucks, like getting rejected and the people being mad and all that kind of stuff.
I hate cold calling.
And maybe even starting with like the worst and then showing the good one at the very end, because maybe that's more like, oh, I'll watch that. This guy's getting a earful. Like, you know, like I think that'd be fun. Just out on a job site, taking measurements, doing stuff, just kind of showing the whole process, but intertwining like me and my personality so that it's not always like, well, if you need a sign,
right,
you need graphics on your van.
Yeah, because nobody's going to respond to that stuff.
No.
You know, if I just came out all the time and was like, book a headshot, book a headshot, book a headshot,
Yeah.
then, yeah. Are you old enough to remember a cartoon called The Critic? It was your John Lovitz.
Mm.
Okay, find it. It's amazing.
Okay.
There was an episode where he had a book out and he was going on a book tour and he had this like cardboard cutout with the arm and it just went, buy my book.
Yeah.
Buy my book.
That's what so many people do in sales.
Yeah. And so many people on social media do, you know, I see photographers do it all the time. You need a headshot because you know, it's like,
There's no value there.
yeah. You know,
It's
like
just,
don't sell to me. I mean, you can inform me, but don't sell to me there, you know, or sell better if you're going to do it. You know, it's not buy my book.
yeah, because I think if you can show the process of how you're helping people, the people that want to be helped will find you.
Yes.
And then they'll be like, oh,
yeah.
Like when we found each other and I booked the appointment, I'd been needing a headshot. Could tell that your caliber was out of this world compared to everyone else's and was willing to pay for it because I knew I needed it for multiple reasons. And then it was a fit, you know?
How much of non-work related life are you wanting to show up in your content, if any?
I think there could be plenty of non-work related, like just perspectives that I have, whether that's through sales or like motivations or tips like that. So it doesn't have to necessarily be like branded with Signorama or even just branded with sales. I'm okay like being like, hey, this is what I learned about marriage this week. And if it gets bazillion comments because nobody can ever agree on that anyways, and that drives engagement, cool.
Yeah.
I'll reply to every comment. And as long as I didn't say something just overtly crazy, I'll probably stand behind it, you know?
Right.
It's like, if it's true to me, it's like, well, then I'll, you know, till seen otherwise, I'll keep an open mind. Like, that's why I made the video. You know, it's true to me. I recorded it for me and published it out there as well. I'm just trying to figure out, I guess, like with what I'm doing currently, how to start it with what I'm doing currently. You know, because I've got ideas of like the long-term vision, but getting back to like the like right now.
So what is the right now?
Just like what I'm doing, daily activities, posting content about that, you know. And it would probably help to go ahead and get some better software than just the Edits app on Instagram, you know, like download that app, like, which has been easy to make like completion reels on jobs.
Right.
And I've got a ton of projects in there started that I honestly could go back and start working with. I've got a drive full on my computer of videos that I've filmed in my office, just me talking about stuff with Signorama, Dixie, things outside of that. So like there's stuff to post, Ben.
Yeah, start posting.
It's just doing it, you know?
And I have not played with the Edits editor. With that one, can you download from that without a watermark?
Oh, yeah.
Through Tor. Good.
You can download it directly to your device. The only issue you'd have if you picked one of their musics, like one of their audio tracks to go with it, it'll remove that.
Yes.
Because it violates
Because,
the
yeah,
copyright.
licenses and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, so often I actually don't add videos or music to my shorts or TikToks or whatever for that reason. Or if I do, I go in and find it individually on each app. So I'll edit the video without the music.
Right.
And then post and add music once I get it to the platform, unless I'm using any of the royalty-free music that I've licensed over the years, in which case I'll do that in editor. Yeah. But yeah. I'd say start editing that stuff out now and putting it out now, especially because like when you first get going and the algorithm's trying to figure out who in the blue hell you are anyway, it's probably not going to push you like crazy in the first place. So even if the content is hot garbage juice, that's okay, because it's getting those reps in and getting it going and letting the algorithm start knowing what sort of content that you're making. I think there's also, places, especially like with you wanting to do sales and like motivational things and whatever, I think there's, if it's of interest to you, like book review content of stuff that you could do. I was reading, from Zig Ziglar, or whatever, and this resonated with me and here's why. And those sorts of things, because that's going to resonate with other people in sales in particular. You're good at the whole networking hootenanny. So I think you could do an entire series on the do's and don'ts of networking, because most people suck at it.
Yeah.
And a lot of people too also think of networking as just the after work networking things where everybody gets together and hands out business cards and no connections are made. I think they forget, and I'm going to give you content now, that, networking is in everything. When I was teaching a class, Headshot Mania years ago, with Peter Hurley's people, and I was doing one on starting business, and I was talking about networking. I was like, let's say you're really into cooking and you go take a cooking class. You're meeting people, that's networking, and actually probably way better networking, because now there's a common interest. My karate stuff, while I'm not going to do it for networking, it's networking. Like I've made connections with people who may at some point become clients, or may end up referring people to be, and they may not ever, but connections are made.
Oh yeah.
So actually back around to that with the whole social media thing and how all that shit works, man, the thing people don't think about. So I met Alan White, Master Alan, Level Up Lightsabers, on TikTok when I started on TikTok. He's the guy that runs St. Matthew's Martial Arts.
Okay.
We both live in Louisville, Kentucky. Follow each other on TikTok, like each other's stuff all the time. Never, ever met.
Could have just drove over there
anytime. I drive past that St. Matthew's.
I know
it's owned by St. Matthew's Target, all the time. Right. So as new me starting to come out, as I was feeling better and going, part of the reason I was drinking cocktails as much as I do is because I'm just sitting around the house bored. So I need to get the fuck out of the house. And I work alone, so I need to be around people. I was like, maybe I'd start martial arts. And, there's a lot of different martial arts places here in town and whatever, but Alan came to mind first because we had the connection via social media. And so I dropped him a message on TikTok. It's like, do you guys do adult classes? And he was like, yep. And so that social media is not always a sprint. Sometimes it's a long game with that. But he ended up getting my business because I connected with him on social media. I was like, yep, I jive with this dude. And we go. So that's the lesson.
That's what's so cool about the social proof, because I was on a rant with my brother. We often call like weekly and have 3-hour conversations about making content. And, he's studying for all his architecture exams and getting them knocked out as he goes. He works for a big firm out in Austin, Texas, building like custom homes, talking like minimum 5,000 to 7,000 square feet, like really unique stuff. And he's trying to figure out like, how can I document this so like when I'm 60, I can be sitting across the table from a guy who's going to buy a 10,000 square foot home from me, and I can show a video of myself studying for the dang test that got me here in the first place. And I was like, hey, you'll have so much social proof that it's just unstoppable. And I think that's where we're headed.
Yep.
Because I said this on a phone call with him. I was like, it's crazy how somebody like Dave Ramsey, who's been known for all this financial advice and is very, people have all their opinions, right?
People have opinions.
And it's like all of that can be distilled down into an AI. And instead of calling in on the show, you can put it on Dave Ramsey's AI. And he was like, oh, he's already got it.
Yeah.
And I looked it up and he does. And you can, AI's taken all his calls and all that stuff and distilled it. And then I found myself like a few days later, being like, I want a perspective on sales. And for me, I've been watching a lot of Hermosi's content and I knew that some of his sales strategy is different than like some of the others. And I found myself being like, well, I'm going to see like what Hermosi, he's filmed enough stuff. Like surely he's talked about this one specific problem, this one objection in a cold call in this like B2B. And it's like, it was there, but it's like, you go to that person because of all the stuff that's out there, right? Like you can go ask your grandmother about financial advice. Or you can ask Dave Ramsey. You're more than likely going to ask Dave Ramsey, even though he's given the same advice.
Yep. Exactly.
From a high level view,
Yeah.
So I just think that's so fascinating.
Well, and another thing to think about, and this struck me when we were talking, you hit my creative brain for a second. So think about in 10 years from now, you've been putting together sales content or your brother's been putting together architect, me
Right.
studying, blah, blah, blah. 10 years from now, 15 years from now, you decide you want to put together a movie trailer to sell your project or whatever. So all of these clips that you have now of the beginning become that trailer. And here's how we got to where we are. And here's why I'm the right whatever for your project. What a great reason to be documenting all this stuff.
Oh yeah.
And
that's like what I said, I think earlier was like, I want to have that.
Yeah.
Like, even if it's just for me.
Yeah.
As crazy as that may sound, Ben, I film videos and I watch them back and I watch them 2 or 3 times. If they're short and they're funny,
right.
Filmed a joke. Literally yesterday that I think you'll appreciate. Like I was sitting there stirring a bowl of taco meat and just pulled out my phone and started recording, going to send it to my brother, Matthew. And I was like, he'll find this funny. Matthew doesn't necessarily drink. He's not against it, just not his thing. I do. And, I enjoy a drink whenever there's time. I'll just say it like that. So, sitting there stirring the taco meat, and I was just thinking, like, everybody's always asking you how you're doing. So I just pull out my phone, and I'm like, I'm just sitting here stirring my taco meat, about to make a bunch of tacos for when my wife gets home. And I was just going over all these thoughts in my head of people coming up to me being like, Daniel, how are you doing? And you always hit them with the, doing great, I'm doing fine, thanks for asking, better than I deserve. Why don't you just, next time you hit them with, if I was doing any better, I'd be drinking. That's something that's not expected. It'll knock them off their feet. And I sent it to a few other people. Everybody thought it was funny. The video is much funnier than I'm explaining it now.
So post that video.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, what do you got to lose?
Everyone in my life that is like family is massive anti-drinkers.
They'll just scan past it. Or if they have opinions, that's cool. They're allowed.
Oh, of course.
You know?
Yeah, of course.
No, post that shit. I let people see that stuff. That's good stuff.
But that would be the funny stuff that I could be worked in on top of other content. But I also have like a vision of like film the whole sales process and then also document the content making process. And if you can figure out a way to not spend 40 hours a week doing this, but to document chunks of all of it.
Yeah.
Some more proof.
Yeah. I mean, you're like back in your shop at time, and you have to let your guys know, be like, I'm going to set up the video camera just to record for a while with stuff, and you go cut clips out of it.
Right.
But, just like, I just need B-roll, y'all doing stuff, and, and hell, people may be like, signs. What the hell's interesting about signs? I think there's a whole list of things that you can do too that are, there's history of signage and how that's changed over the years, how graphic design has changed it. There's a TikTok account, it's like SNS Mowing, I think it's called. And like they go and they volunteer, like they find people's houses who, yards are overgrown.
Yeah.
And then they do a time lapse. I watch every single one of those videos. So like if you were to, find storefront places that had signs that they're just clearly not getting the visibility that they need, and maybe once or twice a year donate it. I'm not saying whatever,
Right.
I'm just spitballing. But it's like, let me upgrade your sign, to help you get more traffic in the door or something.
Yeah.
Or if you see a sign around town, it's like, this one works because this one doesn't, you have to be careful when this one doesn't work because you don't want to shit on anybody. But at the same, like why this works, why this doesn't, how this might improve,
Right.
whatever, finding ways to make it interesting for folks, making signs interesting,
Right.
is, making headshots interesting, it's,
Yeah.
but there are ways to do it. There are things that are interesting about it. And I think a lot of your staring taco meat's great. That's good stuff. Yeah. Are there particular accounts that you're drawn to that you're like, I really like their vibe? And I'm not saying go out and copy to, but I aspire to that storytelling or that visual aesthetic or whatever.
Like I love, like podcast wise, I love like the Diary of the CEO. And I've got a bunch of podcasts that I listen to. But like my brother sent me an account on TikTok and Instagram of this guy that just did like, I'm on day 300 of just seeing if I can get in better shape by doing like push-ups and chin-ups. And then it's like he's made PDFs and he's not showing the actual receipts to his bank account, but it's claiming in videos like on the notepad, this is how much I made this month. It's like $17,000 off of $8.99 PDFs. And I'm more like, what? Like you could get Claude or Chat GPT to generate all that stuff, but $8.99 is like what you would spend plus tip at Dutch Brothers.
Yeah.
And you have a PDF that's 2 or 3 pages that you could do every day. And he's found a way, to get 250,000 followers on Instagram and honestly not make a ton of videos about pushing those PDFs. Honestly, maybe is only making videos about how much I made, which I'm not calling a liar. Like it's very possible, but it's like that when he said that, I was like, what? That's when I clicked on the PDF and was like, oh, they're actually not that expensive. And that's when I was like, well, if I got a PDF, what would I have to, so you start looking at that kind of stuff. And I'm more blown away by people building content that like leads to those results. I'm not saying that like that's my entire aspiration, but when you see that, you're like, oh my gosh, like, I didn't make 17 grand this month.
Right.
So,
and especially when it's something that you can build once and put it out there and then it just generates.
And it's a digital
even
asset.
if it just generates for 6 months.
Yeah.
It's like, how long does it take to build a PDF?
Yeah.
And if it generates $1,000, that's $1,000 I didn't have. And once it was up and moving, it was up and moving.
And it's something that's easily copyable. You could steal it and post it on Reddit and go, that's this guy's PDF, but you buy it directly from him because like, same reason you buy Dave Ramsey's books or you buy like the Money Guy Show's books.
Yeah.
It's because they're the experts.
Yeah.
So you go to them and you get it from them, and you almost don't even have to worry about somebody leaking something because it's like, why would you?
Right.
And a lot of those people give away so much stuff for free anyways that, the true value is behind the paywall.
Right.
And if you did buy it, like you're not going to be able to find anybody that would then pay less for it.
Right.
So I find that really interesting.
Okay. So I've now been talking to you and it's been good. I've enjoyed talking to you for like well over an hour. And I have to go work and you have to go work.
I do. I got to get back to it.
So we're going to land this way. If, any of you who have stuck with this long, so I keep looking at the TV screen, not to think. If you have questions, feel free to let us know. I will make Daniel give me all of his social media handles. I will put those in the description so you can go follow it. And don't let him off the hook. Like if he's not posting, comment on his stuff that he's not posting. And thank you all for watching. If you have questions, let me know. Anything else you want to add?
I look up to you in the sense of you own your own business and you've got your own thing going for you. And you're every day choosing to get up and do something that's not easy. And you're swinging your hammer on top of the anvil, trying to nail out this thing we call life. So I have ultimate respect for that.
Thank you.
No, thank you for your time.
My
I've been
pleasure.
Looking forward to this.
Thank you.
And I think this was the best way to do it.
Yeah. After you stood me up. He stood me up. So anyway, thank you all. Have a good rest of your Wednesday. Have a good rest of your week, and I'll post more. See you soon.